So thanks everyone for being here with us today. Quick update, it is snowing beautifully outside. For those of you who are maybe not from the area, but the good thing is that it's the kind of snow that doesn't stick. So later on, you go out for dinner, you don't have to worry about it. Or you commute home, don't worry about it. I woke up to 17 inches of snow last week in Denver, so this is not. So thanks again for my introduction. Joining me today, I have Shruti Ganda. Shruti is the Innovation Manager at Overcame. She has 10 plus years of experience in user research, and is responsible for ideation, new concept generation, and user testing in order to help advance Bear's innovation and new product development. Also joining us is Christina Arje. Did I do that right? Sure. Great. Christina works with the fishing company, where she serves in 2 roles: category analyst for frozen seafood for Walmart US, as well as the seafood consumer insights specialist. Christina leads the partnership with the AYTM and serves as the bridge between the DIY Market Research Forum and the seafood industry as a whole. Once again, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today. A little bit about AYTM, Ask Your Target Market. We're a fully automated research platform. It's used by some of the largest consumer brands and agencies in the world. We provide clients with a fully integrated approach. Really what that means is direct access to over 40 million consumers via both an integrated proprietary and partner panels, as well as a range of automated, sophisticated research tests. So think MaxDiff, conjoint, price optimization. Ideally things that you don't necessarily always put hand in hand with self-service, we fully automated for you. All of which to really provide you with simplicity and a time of complexity. We also offer a flexible service model, everything from DIY to full service. We realize that not all clients are alike, and sometimes you really just may require a more hands-on approach. Great, so a little bit about our clients. So Bear, part of the Masco umbrella. Bear is a dynamic company that actively embraces quality and innovation to bring their customers the very best paints, primers, stains, and specialty products and services. I'm sure some of you DIYers out there for home improvement are very familiar with Bear. Their entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to integrity has been the cornerstone of their success since 1947. The fishing company is one of the largest importers of frozen fish and shrimp into the US. Established in 2002, the company is focused on building strong, long-lasting partnerships with their customers through the highest quality products, the lowest prices, and unmatchable levels of customer support or service. Great, so I have to be honest with you, I forgot to move the slides. We don't have too many slides. It's really just to focus on the conversation that we had today. So we're going to chat with Shruti and Christina today about their approaches to DIY research technology and how their tools have helped them to successfully drive innovation at their organizations. To help set the stage, for those of you in the audience, let's give them a little bit of background around how you're actually conducting DIY technology currently. Shruti, would you like to start?
So I'm actually not a part of the traditional market research arm of our company. I'm on the innovation side, innovation and product development. And we primarily use AYTM for testing ideas and new product ideas that come out of our product ideation. So testing new ideas with 100 consumers, using it for really early stage qualitative directive research.
Yes, so I'm going to give you first a little bit of history. So I'm in the seafood industry where we don't do a lot of tests because we're not inventing a new fish, right? So what we're doing is we're really catching the consumer perceptions, because perception of the species, that's changing. And that was really what drove us to looking for a partner that could help us understand the consumer better. So anyone in here like tilapia? Yes, thank you. So tilapia is our biggest fish, and that's our cash cow. And we were seeing sales decline, and we're thinking, whoa, what is going on here? Because it's cheap, it's good protein, tasteless, whatever taste you like, you can just season it, and you got a great meal. But So we were seeing these declines for a few years and thinking, what's going on? So we wanted, and then we were thinking, what if we could have caught this trend before it actually got so bad that we could have caught it and prevented it, and understanding the consumer better, so understanding how we can change their perception again. And that's where Ask Your Target Market came in. We are able to, with them, we're in commodity, and we know commodity has very small margins. So our budget is tiny, and with their platform, we can, every month we can launch a survey that's very similar. We got like a bulk of questions are always the same, because we want to make sure that we're catching the same data every month. And then we got some questions that vary depending on an ad hoc question that we've gotten from a buyer. But yeah, so we do every month, we catch some questions, and we're able to get a lot of insights, and we're catching a lot of seafood insights and things that you wouldn't think are interesting, but they're very interesting.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good segue into the next question, which is around how did your organization culturally receive the idea of DIY? You and I have talked about this, or the three of us have talked about, it was quite easy. And I don't think that's the case for everybody. I think every organization is different. I actually was having a conversation with someone just outside where they said, we're being told to go backwards a bit and into more traditional use. And I think it's a top-down approach. So if your organization is not telling you or demanding of you to cut time and cost on research, but you realize that this is something that you think is truly important, you want to be more iterative through your research process, how do you get that buy-in? So we'd love to hear a little bit from how your organizations have perceived it.
Up there, our leadership is very keen on the larger quant studies, obviously being an older company, but we actually found that doing a lot of smaller tests on AYTM and proving that out was really helpful. And then also we found that over time there was a lot of demand from our finance team, our sales team, our product teams. People were coming to us and coming to our team to do these really quick, inexpensive studies, and that's kind of what helped us gain credibility. And then we had a larger quant study that we did that was really fine-tuned in terms of who we were targeting, and our targets are a little more complicated, being people that have painted in the last month or so. And so proving it out through a larger study, a larger quant study that was really targeted correctly, and the results kind of spoke for themselves, and our leadership was all about the convenience and the speed.
I'm sure they appreciated the shorter time frame and lower cost that were involved in all of that as well.
Yeah, I can say for our team, we got buy-in from the president right away. He was actually the one doing like the first research, and then I joined the company, and then I was kind of handed the task. But we have buy-in from everyone. We've done a lot of tests where we have these specific ad hocs, and they've proven to be very effective, and people all across our organization love it. Yeah, and we love that we can do it ourselves. We love that we can get a question today, and I can run the survey tomorrow. It's been really great.
Right, and we'll talk a little bit in just a few questions around the support that is sometimes needed with DIY. I always say to any of my prospective clients and current clients, the automation and the technology is the backbone, but it's the support, the customer service, the experts that are there to guide you. It's the glue that brings it all together, and it's extremely important when you're looking for a supplier in this space. So moving on to the next question, what challenges have you found with using DIY technology tools, and what are some of the ways that you've overcome them? And I know, Christina, for instance, you and I have talked about, there's two parts to this, right? Internally and then externally. So take us that.
Yeah, so internally, going back to the seafood industry, we're an industry that's very old. We have done things the same way over and over again. That's kind of how our industry is still working. And so we have these people that are in their patterns, they like the way things are done. And if you go to the buyers, like externally first, the buyers, the way we handle new retailers is that they launch a bid once a year. So really you only have one chance once a year to talk why they should choose you as a supplier. So externally it's a little hard to give them consumer insights and say, hey, this is why we think you should buy fish from us, because our tilapia is better than someone else's tilapia. But because we have those insights, it's been really cool to show them, hey, here's what our data is showing us, and if you want more, we're happy to give you more insights. It's a constant learning curve and constant reminder, hey, we have this powerful data. Same with internally. Our sales team is very like, this is the way we've always done it, this is the way we're going to do it. But so for us, now that we have this access to this large pool of data, for me, it's a challenge of how do I tell this story? Because not everyone loves data as much as we do. Looking at all the tiny data points. If we're able to tell the stories, then we can get a lot more buy-in from the sales team and from everyone that we're selling to.
Right. I know you mentioned just the idea that the salespeople didn't believe that research was something they could easily just have access to. You know, before they're preparing for their meeting with Walmart or whoever it may be, to quickly be able to go, Christina, you know, I need some talking points that'll help, you know, push the sale of our product. With Bear, I know you've mentioned, and this really struck with me because I can't imagine how many companies are out there that face this, is having access to a tool like this, you no longer had to redirect or cancel potential research. You had the ability to do all of it on the fly.
Yeah, I think for Bear, we have so many new product ideas in our repository, and it really gave us the opportunity to test ideas that would normally be killed because there's no budget. So just giving life to ideas that would have never really came to fruition. We did feel that there were a little bit of challenges early on just on the qual side. So you get all this qualitative research, and sometimes people within the organization might kind of latch on to a soundbite that they see in your research, and just being able to tailor your research to your needs and having that match. So the larger scale research projects or the high profile projects, we would definitely hand off to our traditional market research arm, but I think there's a time and place for everything, and that was kind of our challenge, figuring out what projects went to us versus to our larger research arm.
Yeah, no, and I think, and then that, again, to kind of summarize and lead into the next question is, you know, while you have this long list, and I'm sure all of you can think about what's on your plate right now on your desk of, you know, so many different projects that you're not going to fit into the end of the year or within the budget that you're being given by possibly your grant teams, it's a bit overload. And when you think of moving to self-service or DIY, well, I don't have the bandwidth to do what's on my plate now. How would I possibly bring on this type of, you know, self-service environment and think that I can actually do that on my own? And you don't have to. And that's the great thing, and this is what I alluded to earlier, and a great question from the two of you is, how has having access to expert services team had an impact on your success in using DIY?
It's been wonderful. I really think
Look at that smile.
if we did not have the experts, I don't think anyone would want to take our survey. It's really easy to just like, oh, I want to write this story, this question, that question, but what about that question? And then you get rambled on, and you all of a sudden you have a survey of 100 questions, which I'm sure no one wants to take. And so for us, having that constant contact with that as your target market, have their expertise looking at the questions, and it's been really, really wonderful. And then I also think in how we word the questions, it's very easy for us. I want to ask a lot of would you questions, but we know would you questions, a lot of the answers that come back are very aspirational. So how do we combat the aspirational answers and go for the more realistic questions? But Ask for Target has been really wonderful. Without them, I don't think our survey, the data we would have gotten back, the data would not have been as accurate. Our company has access to a lot of POS data from all the different retailers that we work with, and we go every now and then we go back and see, okay, is this data we're getting back, is this lining up with the POS that we're seeing? And most of the time it's spot on. But I don't think we could do that without your service.
Well, thank you. And I think one of the things we chatted about over lunch is just because something is quick turn, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't take the time that you need up front to ensure that the survey is actually going to capture all the data you need to benefit all of the research objectives or the business objectives you're looking for. Knowing that on the back end, you're actually going to sample and field something in maybe 24 hours, and all of the reporting is done automatically for you, it allows you to have that flexibility in the upfront design. You go into your teams, using our team, taking that time to build out something that is really imperative for your business. And for you as well,
I would just say that it's really helped us early on when a lot of our requests are ad hoc and there's a week or so before we need results. So having that support has really helped us pull those projects off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wonderful. I know we're running a little bit back on time, so I'm actually going to skip one question to help us save a little bit of time there. But thinking about this next question, I think this is a really important one, and I'd like to ask all of you to think about this as well. I'm always open to chatting more about this, but how do you see technology changing the evolution of research? And if I asked this question when I first got into DIY or technology and research, probably 4 or 5 years ago, the answer would have been very different, because we weren't necessarily there yet. We heard about it, we saw it at conferences, but those are, it was almost like those are the booths that nobody was stopping at, because they were afraid of that idea of DIY, but it's here now, and you're being forced to use it many times. So I'm curious how you find that it's going to continue to evolve.
I think it's really just raised expectations for researchers. I think that kind of you're expected to be on pulse with your end user and understand them day in and day out, since they're ever changing as well. So yeah,
It's a very good point. I think it's, you're having to take on more responsibility now within being an insights and researchers, because the company understands you can actually get that data quickly, so they want it even faster and more of it to continue to present to the teams.
Yeah, I'd echo. And also just technology today, it allows us to be at so many places at once. And with all the migration that's going on, because now we're so much more mobile than we have been. We move here and there for our jobs, and then we move again for family, and then we move again. We're seeing a lot of, there's no regionality anymore, at least in the seafood industry. We used to know, okay, in the West Coast we sell this, in the East Coast we sell that, in the South we sell that. But now there's so much more variety, there's so many things that are going on. So really with this DIY, with technology, we can be anywhere we want. Technology allows me to push a survey out to Georgia or to Florida, wherever I need it to be. Technology allows us to do that, and it allows us to get the pulse of the consumer anytime that I want. If I wanted to do it at night or in the evening or in the morning, whatever I want, I can do it because technology allows me to do it. Our company, again, we're commodity, tiny margins. Anything that we can do in-house, we do. Our company, for the longest time, we ran our financials just off a spreadsheet. Luckily, we moved away from that. But really, technology allows us to do that. Also, with the data that's coming back, we're utilizing the Microsoft Power BI tool to create all the visualizations, because not everyone likes to look at the raw data. But that's another thing that technology allows us to do, to tell the story better, to get the word out. It's just phenomenal.
Right. I think, having the ability to kind of have that aha moment, like you said, but to combine that continually. So once a research project, whether it's us providing you a report or any of your suppliers providing you the report, you go into your meeting, and how often do you come out of that meeting with 10 more questions that you didn't have answered, and now you need to go back and you've got to rerun banner tabs, and it's quite a process and can get expensive. So having that data at your fingertips, to be able to go into a meeting knowing once you come out, give me a couple hours, I can address that for you. Or give me a few days and I'll actually run phase 2 of this study. So it's continuing to be as nimble as you can, and learnings on the fly, which is truly just the backbone behind innovation at this point. Wonderful. So in conclusion, thank you both. You've said so much great advice here. But for the audience, do you have any practical advice for selecting suppliers, or things to just consider when you're out there on the search for self-service automation type tools?
Yeah, so for us, it was really, we had 3 priorities when we were looking for a partner. Number 1 was efficiency. It had to be super efficient. Number 2 was cost. Maybe cost was number 1. Cost number 1. Because we knew, okay, the scope of our research was to every month be catching a trend. So we knew we were in this for the long haul. So we knew there was going to be a lot of time, a lot of money in it. So finding that partner that could give us the right cost was number 1. Number 2, the efficiency, and being able to launch once a month, being able to be flexible on when we launch it during the month. And then number 3 was
Customer service.
customer service. Yes. So because again, going on, because when I write a survey, I would like to write 100 questions, but I don't think anyone wants to answer 100 questions. So having the expertise to help us, okay, let's look at it from the participant's point of view. Those 3, having the customer service, the cost, and the efficiency was just top notch for us.
I think definitely speed and cost were high up there, but for us, having kind of that output that was user-friendly and being able to distribute our reports throughout our organization, somebody from product could understand a report, somebody from finance would understand a report. So really understanding how kind of the user experience of the tool is was important for us. And then also just being able to own our data and have that support of great customer service and always having an answer if a question came to us that we weren't aware of. So.
Right, absolutely. And I would add to that, and this is by the way I plugged AYTM, it's to any supplier that you're vetting, is when you're making to look such a leap to a new way of doing research, ask them to run a pilot. Understand what that platform is all about. Truly make sure that the customer service is exactly what they're saying that it is. It's really important before you kind of make a big dive into such a shift in the way that you're going about your organization's research. Wonderful. So thank you both so much again. Really appreciate it. And hopefully this has been helpful in terms of learning some new ways to think about onboarding suppliers and what you can learn with DIY. If you'd like to chat further, we're right outside the door. We do have some time, so any questions? So we covered everything for you, or is it just late in the day?
So I imagine you guys are all using AYTM, but how do you leverage multiple vendors when it comes to the DIY space?
Yeah, so we, our company does not do like survey DIY with other researchers, but we do a lot of anything in-house we can do. The Power BI platform, we try to find as many software tools that we can buy and then use in-house. But with research we do, the other research that we do it's mostly ad hoc, and we have, so Field Agent, I don't know if you're, or Field Agent, but they're in our backyard in Bentonville, so we use them for the ad hoc.
We use a couple different tools. We tend to look for just really lean tools we can use online. We have a small group, so in supplement with AYTM, we use a one-on-one interviewing tool. We do one-on-one interviews on the phone, Skype focus groups. We're looking for an ethnography tool that we can use just quickly ad hoc as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, in speaking with my clients, I always recommend make sure you build out a toolkit for technology platforms, because there really isn't ever going to be a platform that can do everything. I mean, we would be lying if we said that we could. And so being able to quickly and actively just assess those platforms and have that toolkit available to you, I think is pretty important. Great question. Anything else?
One more down there.
Can you hear me? I'm going to mispronounce your name. Can you help me? Sure.
Shruti.
Sure. So question for you. I know it was brought up in your introduction, but early stage ideation, and this could go for all 3 of you too, but I'm curious how you go about that in terms of like actually developing an idea and how you fuel or how you inject consumer insights into that early stage ideation to create new products or services that are consumer centric.
That's a great question. We use a lot of the early stage insights come from our traditional market research arm, and that kind of feeds into our ideations, and then ideations input or output new product ideas that we then test on platforms like AYTM. So a lot of the macro insights that feed into the ideations come from more traditional, larger research reports and things like that. Just trends, what's happening in the industry. So.
Do you have any to add? How much ideation is happening in the fishing world?
Well, not much.
Yeah. Recipes for tilapia. Great. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thanks again, everyone, and feel free to come and chat some more.